I believe he's in Lubbock, Texas. Maybe talking to Joey McGuire at some point. Josh Pate with us here on TexAgs. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, there's no evidence of that, David. How in the world would you know where I am? I haven't been to Lubbock in I think it's over 20 years. I had a church mission trip out here in, I don't know, it was a long time ago. But all I remember is the roads were really wide and the air was really dry. 2 for 2. It is as I remembered.
Yeah, that's a cool room. I love the shot, the way it looks. I want to ask you something, because we started the show with this topic. I feel like Aggie sports fans right now are a little on edge, and I can understand it. Football ended poorly. Basketball was a fun season, but didn't go as far as I think we had hoped and expected. Baseball has crash landed from number 1 to out of the rankings, and they've been swept twice in SEC play. So I say all that to you, not to depress everybody, but what will make you feel, like, you know, a casual fan, a real diehard fan, that A&M is back on track in the big 3 sports? Is it really just about what you do all season long? Are people going to not be happy until you get to the end of the football season and see, hey, I saw 9 or 10 wins?
Everything works downstream of football. And I don't even care how hardcore a basketball or baseball fan you are. I've never met anyone that is hardcore into A&M athletics and not football first and foremost. Those people may exist. I haven't met them. So everything works downstream of football. I also think the vibe of an athletic department, especially in a place like College Station or virtually anywhere in the SEC outside of Lexington and maybe Nashville, works downstream of what football is doing on the field. So you said, I say all that to say. Well, I'm going to say the same thing. I say all that to say, if you pop a 10-win season on me in football this year, the vibe starts to enhance, and then I keep saying downstream, but I mean it. I think everything else works downstream of that. I don't know how you quantify that. I just think that energy is real. Conversely, David, what would it mean for baseball to go to Omaha and basketball to go to the Sweet 16, but A&M football to go 6-6? None of it else really, nothing else I don't think matters in the grand scheme, at least. Not to discount those sports and the dudes and girls playing those sports, but it's football first and foremost.
Yeah, I think, except for last year, you know, the team getting to the College World Series, starting Coach Elko's tenure, right? Like it gave us some, for my purposes, it gave me a lot to talk about till the middle of June. So I was very happy about it. But I do agree with you that football is the one that makes everything click. But for the program to be where they need, for us to feel like the athletic department is going in the right direction, all 3 of those have to finish well. Baseball finished well last year. They've started very poorly this year. Basketball, I think they had a nice season. That's all I can say. And football finished very poorly.
Now, I will say this. The more I listen to you, you know I'm football 365 days a year, and I briefly acknowledge that the other sports exist. So by no means do I tout myself as some collegiate athletics expert. But I do think from an observational standpoint, in the Southeastern Conference, it used to be a nice, cute, like ornament on the tree if you were good at basketball. And I think because of the infusion of money and also the big programs taking basketball seriously now, I don't think it's optional anymore. I do think you have to be good because it used to be you looked around and people said, well, yeah, but it's basketball. Like that's not really where we put our resources. Well, now you swim in resources in the SEC and so much so that it's bubbled over football to where Bama and Auburn are still alive, right? They're both still in the tournament, and you've got the SEC with a record number of teams in the tournament. So that's good. In the aggregate, that's good to put pressure on the places where maybe they're not getting the job done. The same thing's happened in baseball. Even I know enough to know if you look at the surge that you've seen athletically, not just football-wise, but athletically in the SEC, it has turned it from optional to mandatory, that you are good in that stuff. And it used to be, David, you could kind of cruise along, be a good guy, and your basketball program's average is grits. No longer. Good guys are going to get fired if they are running average programs now.
Josh, in this coaches series that you've done the last couple of years, are there any particular traits that stand out to you of the elites, right? The guys, when you talk to them, like, yeah, he's got it. And I'm not talking about the ones that are trying to get to the elites. I'm talking about the Kirbys of the world, the ones that have done it at the highest of levels. Jim Harbaugh, like right now, Ryan Day is considered in that conversation. Should have probably been considered it beforehand, but I recognize why he wasn't. Is there a trait that pops up to you?
Yeah. When you walk in the building, everybody sounds the same. Everybody carries themselves the same. They look different because they're people. But then when you start talking to them, it's the front desk receptionist, it's the janitor, it's the offensive coordinator, it's the head. Everybody sounds the same, David. So all that is, it's no different than if we were to work in the political world or the business world or the football world. You've got leadership. And I'm going to say this phrase again, and I promise I'm not going to say it after this. The vibe is working downstream of leadership in the good places. In the bad places, you go talk to the general manager and he's got his take, and then the head coach has got his take, and then the AD has his take or her take, and it's just like there's no alignment. And the worst part is sometimes those places don't know that. I'm kind of in a pretty unique position that we're in a different place multiple times a week. So we visit everywhere. We talk to everyone. It's like a punch in the face. It's like a sledgehammer to the chest when you're in the places that do it right, because you realize this feels robotic in a sense that everyone's just saying the same thing, but they're not acting. It's not performative because they don't even know that the dude you talked to 7 minutes ago in the lobby said what he said to you. It's just that there's vision and everyone's aligned with it. And the most important part, I think, before alignment is everyone's bought into it. And then the other thing that I think it's labeled as coach speak a lot, but it's not coach speak. It's one of the most important traits you can have is the ability to like define the goal, whatever it is you want to accomplish, but then no one talks about the goal. All they're talking about is the process that it takes to achieve it. So what's funny is anytime you say that, David, people go like this. They kind of, all right, here we go. Like they lean back and they tune out because they think that's a cliche. Like that's just coach speak. Well, everyone says that. That's fortune cookie stuff. All I'm telling you, since you asked me the question, is the best buildings that we're in, they all do that. So I think there's a little more to it than just cliche. Or David, maybe there's a reason why it's a cliche, because it's said so much by the most successful people.
Well, I think also it maybe it's a cliche, but it should be a way of life, because the reality is you are what you eat, right? And people say that and like, well, no. But really, your health is determined by that. Football is the same way. If you follow the process and the results will come. It's one thing to say it out loud, Josh. It's another thing to actually be about that life.
Yeah. I always equate it to the gym because you and I can relate to that. That's somewhere we go every day. Someone else may be in a boardroom every day. You may be a race car driver. I don't really care what it is you do, but I didn't get that. The reason I speak so forcefully on this is because I think it was a big differentiator in my life. I did not understand that concept. For so long, I was like, most people, and that is you need to be goal oriented. You need to be focused on goals because that just sounds right. Well, it's not right. It's wrong. And Nick Saban was the one that actually, listening to him talk one day, for some reason made it click to me. I'd heard it a million times, but the first time someone ever made it click to me to just totally change your way of thinking was listening to him talk. I think it's probably because he had a track record, and so he had authority, and I valued what he had to say. But then you start viewing the world a little bit differently, and then you start realizing, man, focusing on that process, it may seem boring and mundane, but then if you fall in love with it, you realize not only have you unlocked some keys to success, but here's the fun part. You look around and you realize, wow, no one else thinks like this. In your social circle, like very few of my friends are thinking like this. And then comes the bad part, because then you start shaving out some of your friends because you want to surround yourself with like-minded people, and that gets a little bit lonely. But then you talk to successful people and they all tell you the same thing. It was a very lonely road to get here. And then you start weighing the risk reward and the sacrifice of whether you want to do that or not. So I don't know if you tried to schedule Tony Robbins today or you just wanted to talk football, but we could go for a long time on that.
Being uncommon around uncommon people. Josh, I can talk about this stuff all day. Hey, I want to talk the flip side to that, right? Programs that are in chaos. I feel like there are some similar themes to them as well. And sometimes you can almost look at it like, I don't know. They have a lot of talent, and maybe the 5 and 7 year of Jimbo's run here. They got a lot of talent, but there's something about when I walk into that facility that I don't feel like the guys are all on the same page. This guy's yelling at his coach. This guy's walking out of practice. I feel like the flip side of that is exactly true. You can almost predict when something could go wrong.
So the best way metaphorically that I can explain that, and Jimbo and A&M is a good example of this, is if you've ever worked construction before, which I have, you show up to a job site in the morning and you see the equipment's been loaded in. So you got your pallets of brick and lumber, and you've got your AC and ductwork that's going to go. All of the basically all of the equipment and all of the resources necessary to build a house are there. So it would be very ignorant for you and I to pull up to a job site, look at it, and say, there's the house. All we have is the materials to build the house. We have not built the house. It takes skill, it takes knowledge, it takes hard work to build the house. But it's capable of being built. There's a big difference between capability and possibility. Like, the capability is, well, you've got God-given ability. Therefore, you're capable of doing some things. It's impossible unless you commit to and put in the work to accomplish that. Just like it's impossible for that house to be constructed unless someone who knows what they're doing takes those materials and does the right thing with them. It is my opinion that for quite a while, Texas A&M was the job site with all the tools and all the resources and all the materials laying there. That's why I've always caught some flack from the national audience when I've said everything they need to win is there. It is there. It's been there for a long time. Maybe the right foreman hasn't been there. Maybe the right crew hasn't been there. But that's why I've never given up on the idea or the capability of Texas A&M. The possibility may not be in the room at any given present moment, and I would convey that that's how I felt when Jimbo was there. But that doesn't change capability. So I still feel the same way with Mike Elko there. The capability is there. So now we find out together last year, this year, next year, what kind of crew do we have on the job site?
And I think also you can do everything right, and it still may not work, especially in the SEC, because other guys are getting paid too to do it all right. So you may have the right plan. You may even have the right guys, but timing and also what's happening at other places, which is, I think, the hard part, because you could do everything right, yet still not get the results.
I think you can see it, though, because what you're saying is dead on the money. You could do everything right and go 10-2, 9-3, and especially on the 9-3 side of things, someone may look at that and say, well, you underachieved a little bit this year if you were supposed to be in the national title picture. Well, you may have just had a couple of key injuries at a spot you couldn't afford to, and the portal raided your depth there in the spring window, and then you had a couple of bounces of ball go against you, and it's stuff that matters, and it determines games. But I think you and I can tell when we're watching a program, and you can tell a 9-3 team that was a really, really tough out versus a hollow 9-3 team that loaded up on inferior competition and got blown out 3 times. What you've got to do, if we speak of now, this is the best metaphor I'll use all day. If you think about college football in terms of a ladder match, and you think about the belt hanging high above the ring, what you're trying to do really is you're just trying to get enough rungs up to where it's within reach. And then you take a shot at it every year. But you can't reach it if you're on rung 3. So if you're a head coach and your guys are on rung 8 of a 10-rung ladder every year, they're at least within reach. You can give yourself a puncher's chance. You're in the room with the piñata. You may be blindfolded, but you swing away, you do have the opportunity. You just got to give your guys an opportunity. Give your team an opportunity to achieve whatever it is you want every year. And of course, Georgia was that last year. Like, I think about, we were at Georgia the other day. Kirby took some heat because he came on the show. He said, I think we did our best coaching job last year since I've been here. And people looked and said, what? You were in the 100s in rushing numbers. You were out of the top 20 in total defense. But that was his point. His point was our team wasn't that good last year. It was one of the worst versions of us as Georgia that we've had in a long time, and it felt like we were trying to plug 13 holes with 10 fingers in the dam the whole year. Somehow the dust settles and we won the SEC. That team's got no business winning the SEC last year, but they did because they put themselves at least within arm's reach, and even in a down year, they won it. I think that, to me, is the hallmark of being able to tell whether a guy's got the program where it needs to be.
Talk to me about SEC scheduling and your issues with it, the way they go about their business, because basically, and I know you summed it up in one of your videos, it's just a flip of the next year, right? So, like, what plan would you like to see?
Ironic that we just mentioned Kirby Smart. I bounced this off of him. I'm asking every head coach that we talk to right now about this. I'm asking them, what would it hurt in your mind, in your preparation, in your operation? What would it hurt if I was the commissioner, I came in and I wiped all the schedules clean, and I said, you're going to find out your schedule in late February every year. He said, travel, that's all it would mess up. I mean, we got to get that stuff booked. But from a coaching standpoint, I don't care. Release the schedule in February. I couldn't care less. We're working on us in spring. We're not even really working on opponent-specific stuff granularly until the fall. So now that I've got the endorsement of head coaches saying that, I'm thinking to myself, David, why would we ever be releasing schedules multiple years out? Now, the way that out-of-conference scheduling works, I get that. I'd love to see that overhauled, but I get that. Okay, so take those 4 games or 3 games, notwithstanding, whichever conference you're in. The conference schedule, the thing you have control over, if you're a league, I can't believe that we still schedule that multiple years out. The problem with a 16 or an 18-team league is you certainly aren't going to play everyone. But that means Nuno University and Pate State, if we're in the same conference, we may play 2 totally different strength of schedules. There may be a gulf, like a Grand Canyon, between how tough it is for you and how tough it is for me. And like Kirby said the other day, we get to the end of the road, we've got this vast disparity in strength of schedule, yet a committee doesn't determine who goes to Atlanta. It's just conference standings. So from a conference perspective, we just think a win is a win, a loss is a loss. All records are created equal. So what I'd love to see happen, since you asked me that like 10 minutes ago, what I'd love to see happen is take your committee, your conference, whatever it is, find a way to roughly determine your strength of conference in February. It's not going to be perfect. I understand that. But from a broad strokes perspective, I think you and I both know Texas will be better than Kentucky this year. So there's a way to roughly bracket or line up those teams. And I'd love to see the league schedule made in February. And no one knows who they're going to play. And it's totally randomized. And you don't just flip your road and home and road year to year. And I also don't know if maybe that's not in the coming years, like everything's changing now anyway, but I would love to see. Second thing it does, David, is it creates a tentpole event in late February. Yeah. The SEC schedule release could be a thing. There's no reason it's not a thing. The current strength of schedule dichotomy makes no sense. So that's the way I'd love to see it go.
I also think when talking about teams schedule, and this is not really the same topic, but kind of morph into it, when you have your hard games, I think matter a lot to the quality of team you could become. Because I thought Texas had a pretty simple schedule for SEC standards last year, but they did close out, obviously, playoffs, A&M at the end with some harder games than they had initially. If you have those hard games early, what it does to the mindset if you aren't successful, and conversely, if you have easier games to ramp up. A&M got Notre Dame week 1. Does A&M beat Notre Dame week 2 or 3? I don't know. Maybe they did. They had no offense at that point, at least in that first game. So I'm just curious your thoughts about how depending on where your team is from a maturity standpoint, from a coach's tenure, how that schedule can affect how the team plays in that actual year.
It's a really big deal. I'll give you an example outside the SEC of something I'm looking at right now. So Oregon is in the 100s in returning production. They are below 50% returning production both sides of the ball. So they're brand new everywhere. But they're going to be viewed as a national title contender, as they should. They go on the road in week 5 to Penn State. Penn State will be coming off a bye. That's Oregon's 5th game in a row. So I want you to think about home field advantage. You're flying, if you're Oregon, across 3 time zones. Also, I believe Fox will have that game. You can check me on this. But if they do, you know good and well they're throwing that thing at noon. So that's a 9 a.m. body clock kickoff for Oregon with huge rest disadvantage. And then you got all the new starters and whatnot. So that is just one glaring example of, I don't know if it's like scheduling malpractice, but if I were the conference, like if I were the league office in the Big Ten, I know I got 3 or 4 programs capable of winning it all. I'm never exposing one of my horses to that kind of disadvantage. Is that favoritism? Absolutely it is. I'm just telling you how I would run the Big Ten. Now in the SEC, it's a little different because any given year, the pool of legitimate teams is a little deeper than the Big Ten. There may not be an elite one, but there's a pool that's 7 or 8 deep of big brand, big-mouthed teams that aren't going to take that kind of treatment being on the other end of it. In the Big Ten, you got 4 of them, then you got everyone else.
And I believe we're in agreement here. I would love to see the national championship game early, like January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, right? And I believe that's where you have it as well.
I'd love for it to be on New Year's Day. If
Yeah.
it can't be on New Year's Day, I'd love for it to be on pay attention here, kids, the first Saturday in January. Now, all that takes, this is going to sound simple. It's actually much more difficult in practice. That takes cooperation and alignment with the NFL. That's all that takes. And you got to get smart people in the room that have negotiated that sort of thing before, that have relationships on that side of the fence, that can incentivize that sort of coming to the table at the behest of the NFL. That's what that takes. We don't have it right now. I hope we get it one day.
Josh, great stuff, man. Thanks very much. Enjoy your time in Lubbock.
Appreciate it, David.